What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with Madolche. Yes, these sweet, delicious, beautiful, and elegant desserts are now reforming themselves back onto the main stage because thanks to Infinite Forbidden, we have a ton of new Madolche monsters and cards to use, which is funny because we're not using triples or doubles of those monsters as most people would expect, but because of just how built Madolche is and how fast the format itself is going, Madolche tends to be such a rogue deck that it just has so many good combos to it that even if you think you didn't have an out, you somehow find it out with Madolche. And after the recent WCQ for North America, where Madolche didn't make an appearance, it is nice to see that people do still have faith in Madolche. Because Madolche can be so rogue that you'll never see it coming. And then when you do, you don't know what variant it could be. It could be Synchro, it could be Exceed, it could be Link, it could, be Earth Beat, it could be, play with the spell, play with the Funhouse type of builds. Like, Madolche is Madolche, and it does what it wants to do. So for this video, we're going to take a look at just a pretty basic build with its nuances, and pray to God that it's just something simple and chic. So with that in tow, let's go through it. So we got a hefty monster lineup for our Madolche monsters. It starts off with triple copies of Madolche Magellan, followed by 3 copies of Madolche Pudding Sessa, then 3 copies of Madolche Angeli, 2 copies of Madolche Messengelato, 2 copies of Madolche Hoot Cake, 1 copy of Madolche Pudding Sass, then 3 copies of Venespi of the Misting Seedling, then 3 copy of, hold on, because I want to put them all together, because those are the Madolches, these are the Venespi. We have 3 copies of Venespi of the Misting Seedling, 3 copies of Venespi of the Flourishing Hill, then 2 copies of Venespi of the Awakening Forest. Then for the rest of the cards in the deck, I have 3 copies of Herald of Orange Light and 3 copies of Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring. So that is pretty much it for the main deck monsters. We go on into the spells. We have triple copies of Pot of Prosperity. Then 1 copy of Madolche Salon, 1 copy of Madolche Chateau, 1 copy of Madolche Ticket, and then 1 copy of Call by the Grave. That is it for the spells. Then for the trap cards, triple copies of Infinity Impermeance, 1 copy of Madolche Pyramid, and 1 copy of the new Madolche card, Madolche Dessert. So that is it for all of the main deck cards. It should be a total of 40. Then we're going to move on into the Madolche Extra deck. Just give me 1 second because I forget how many cards I actually put into this, and oh my god, there's so many. So, going into the Madolche Extra deck, which because of Pot of Prosperity, you really just can use whatever you want. But this is just what I'm building up with. I'm running 2 copies of Madolche Queen Tiara Frastis, then 2 copies of the original Madolche Queen Tiara Misu, then I'm running 2 copies of Madolche Pudding Cesse Chocolat à la Mode, then 2 copies of Madolche Glace Soufflé, then 2 copies of Madolche Mini Miao Karun, then 2 copies of Madolche Francis Tart, 1 copy of Babushka, the Terribly Tired Tape Eater, 1 copy of Number F0, Utopic Future, and 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. And that is pretty much it for all of the cards, both in the main and the extra. 40 cards in the main, 15 in the extra. So let me go ahead and go through this. So starting off with Madolche. The Madolche archetypal gimmick and setup here is just basically normal summon like crazy. Get a lot of your cards, survive. Use the Venespi to help you, set up your board so that you can get a lot of your extra deck monsters onto the board without having any issues. Or getting your monsters onto the board so you can get into your extra deck when you need to. And then when all out fails, just get rid of your extra deck so you can get the pieces as soon as possible. So it is a very... Madolche isn't bad. Madolche just has issues because the format that is around it that builds it up really just has so much attached to it. It really does. And you just, try your best to fit in. And because I know every deck has to try to find, some variation of another deck to help support it. Or find a deck to really, combine with your own deck's mechanics to try to work itself out. So, starting off with the monsters, Madolche Mageline, she is your Shadows of the deck. When she's normal summon, you can add a Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. Madolche Pudding Sessa, she is basically just a easier target for Madolche summon. She basically is one of your bigger starters as well. When this card in your position... No, I'm sorry. It's the once return effects that I'm looking at. If you have no monsters, you can just summon this card from your hand. Then if you do such summon this monster, you can summon a Madolche monster from your hand or deck, except for Madolche Pudding Sensor, and you can reduce the level by 1. But you cannot summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except for Madolche monsters, which, to be fair, that's not a hard thing. Especially when you can combine it with a lot of your own pieces to go get pieces. Like, you can get Hoot Cake, you can go get Angeli, who can set up into Hoot Cake, who can then bring out Messenger Gelato, who can even help you set up for abilities and stuff there. So, it's a lot of things you can definitely take into account. You can even summon Madolche Pudding Cess and really go into other monsters and set up for cards, thanks to just her being on the field. Madolche Angeli, who can basically Lone Fire Blossom herself to special summon a Madolche monster from your deck. That monster can be destroyed by battle until the end of your opponent's turn, and then is returned to your hand during the end of your opponent's turn. There are the 2 copies of Madolche Messenger Gelato, who I feel you really only need the 2 of because you're not really rushing for too many things. This isn't like old school Madolche where you have to run a lot of warrior engine pieces to get to your Messenger Gelato. With Messenger Gelato here, you're able to add a spell or trap from your deck with Madolche in its name, but you have to control a beast-type Madolche monster to do so. That's not too hard because you do have a lot of access to your Madolche beast monsters. And, of course, the one monster that does bring him out, which is Madolche Hoot Cake. Hoot Cake's ability to banish any monster in your graveyard to then special summon a Madolche monster from your deck to the field. It definitely helps you out with a lot of your core pieces because, well, you can bring out stuff like Messenger Gelato to go get your spells and traps. You can go and bring out maybe Angeli or them if they're not already on the board, and then they can use their ability to then bring out more monsters. You're just basically servicing your deck so that you can bring out more monsters, spells, and traps, and keep a lot of the combos of special summoning your other Madolches in circuit. Madolche Pudding Cess. Now, some people are going to probably question why is she still here. Well, she's viable because of the fact Pudding Cessor can bring her onto the field and then reduce her level by 1, making her a 4, and then being able to use her for a lot of the Exceed plays and setting up for the Exceed plays. We then have a ton of the Venuspy monsters. We have Venuspy of the Misting Seedling. Now, the one thing is, these Venuspy monsters lock you into early Earth summons. Luckily enough, well, all the Madolche monsters are Earth attribute, including a lot of the monsters in your extra deck, so you easily can take advantage of that. So that's never a downside. But the best thing about the Venuspy monsters is their ability to help you discard a card to then special summon monsters from your hand or deck. And even if they're Earth attribute, remember that still triggers their abilities as well, which is why running the setup of them does help out. So you're running 3 of the Mistling, which I believe, what is the other ability that this card has? All monsters on the field will lose 600 attack, except for Venuspy monsters, but we're going to use that. We're just using this just to dump it to then activate its other ability, where you can dump this card in a Venuspy monster or a monster. It's for turn, send an Earth Fairy from your deck to your hand. And then you can special summon 1 Earth monster from your graveyard. So basically that'll just help you set up for Angeli and them to put them into the field. You have the Venuspy of the Flourishing Hills, who her ability is to add a Venuspy card from your deck to your hand, and then be able to special summon an Earth monster from your graveyard. So you can add one of the other two targets to your hand. I think she excludes herself, right? No, you can even add herself to your hand. Huh, isn't that crazy? But you don't use the such summon effect once per turn. But you're locked in an Earth attribute monster effects. Like I said, no one really cares about that. You're just being able to special summon other monsters. And then the Awakening of the Forest ability is just more special summoning and being able to get an additional normal summon or set of an Earth monster that turn. So, yeah, bonuses on top of bonuses just for being part of the Earth attribute. Next up is Herald of the Orange Light. And with Herald of the Orange Light, because the majority of this deck is Fairy, you can simply just send it in a Fairy to the graveyard to then be able to negate the activation of a monster effect and destroy it. I do believe this clash with the. Yeah, it does clash with the Venice Speed, but this is something that you can easily just do on your opponent's turn. So you can easily have your hand set up for it and then just activate the effects on your opponent's turn to drop cards like Herald and to drop cards like Ash Blossom and Joyous Green because your hand traps are very much needed. But also good fodder for cards like Hookate. So, alright, that is it for the monsters. And yeah, that was a lot of monsters. I'm not even gonna lie. Next up is the spell cards, and we got Pot of Prosperity. I remember when people were using Pot of Extravagance because people were like, oh yeah, this is going to be the best, pot card to use for Madolche because most of the other pot cards had a lot of huge restrictions that the Madolche monsters did not need to survive. And being is that Madolche really doesn't have to care too much about its extra deck. This is obviously still one of the better options. Now, if you can't get any of these, in case like it's really really hard to find, because I'll be very honest with you, I scooped these up real quick from the 25th anniversary, and as well as the 25th anniversary collection, as soon as I possibly can. And I literally got like 2 sets of these. I think I got just 1 set because the other set I already had. But just off of the top of it, yeah, no, this is like legitimately one of your best support cards for Madolches or just decks that don't really care about their extra deck because you're just digging into your main deck to get a lot of the pieces that you need. Service the pieces that you don't need, putting them back on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, you can't draw. Yeah, half the damage and stuff is cut. But that's perfectly fine because guess what? You're going to be able to dig into your deck as much as you need and still be able to benefit off of all the other abilities that your deck will still have to offer. So then we have the one as in Madolche Salon, which just gives you additional normal summon, and then being able to set a Madolche spell or trap from your deck to the field. Madolche Chateau for the 500 additional attack for your Madolche monsters, and then being able to return your Madolche monsters back into the deck so that you're able to then reuse them again and again. Madolche Ticket, which allows you to add a Madolche card to your hand. When a Madolche card will be set to your deck or main deck, to your hand or main deck from your grave, you'll be able to add them. Another Madolche card to your hand, but if you control a fairy, you're able to special summon it. And with the new wide expansion of fairy type monsters, this is not a card to sleep on. It's a very, very useful card to help you speed up the process of getting a lot of your extended summons onto the field and using their abilities to help you extend even more. The one call by the grave just to help add to the additional pressure of monster negation. So that is it for all of the spells. Moving into the traps, we have one copy of Infinity we have the critical copies of Infinity Impermanence. This is just to be effect Veiler because Veiler is not in the main deck, but you can make Veiler if you wanted to. But this is just a way to drop this as soon as you possibly can to get the effects of things as soon as possible, and just enjoy the just being able to do things even if it's not your turn. Because if you don't control anything, it's your opponent's turn. This is a great way to help out with monster negation. The next card up is Madolche Parmamate, which is more negation, more setup for things. Just another easy target. This is actually one of your biggest targets for Salon, so you can set it and then utilize its ability. And then we have the new card, Madolche Dessert. Targeting 2 effect monsters on the field, including a Madolche monster, and then their effects. Returning those monsters to the hand or extra deck, and then being able to summon a Madolche monster from your hand or your extra deck whose attack is equal to or less than the total original attack of the monsters that you sent back. If a Madolche card hand is shuffled into the deck or extra deck while this card's in the grave, then you're able to attach this card to an Exceed monster. So that even gives another material for your Exceed monsters to benefit from their effects, but also being able to bounce stuff back and then being able to special summon as well, giving some more life to things instead, in case something gets negated. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the the trap cards. Sorry. And now we go on into our extra deck. With the tons of things that the Madolche extra deck has to offer, the speed up of this is going to be really easy because let's be real. With Pot of Prosperity, their only real benefit is that your Madolche extra deck just carry on as just fodder and material for things, so then other things can be created. Madolche Queen Tiara Souffle, Tiara Frostier can be put on top of Madolche Queen Tiara Misu and transferring her materials over. She's able to once during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, she can detach your material target up to 2 Madolche cards in your grave to shuffle them back into the deck, to then shuffle up to the number of cards in your opponent controls and return them back into the deck. And then if it's destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, you can return it to the extra deck to trigger even more abilities. So yeah, this is basically just an upgrade to Tiara Misu, and I like how we've seen a lot of these upgrades to these other monsters, giving them not only new forms, but also giving them even some upgraded abilities to their other abilities. Well, depending on how you look at Madolche putting such up out of mode. Then we have Madolche Queen Charmisu Original, who just bounces cards on the field and returns your Madolche monsters back into the deck. This triggers off a lot of your other cards' abilities and effects as well, because they'll be able to trigger off your ticket and be able to special summon things. Putting the special summoning and searching out things, we have the Madolche Chocolate a la mode, which isn't a bad monster. She's more so of a beat stick, but she can still be useful to a lot of the pieces that your deck offers. By putting her on top of a level 4 or lower Madolche Exceed, you then be able to just quickly go into her, detach and summon, detach or search, all those different abilities that she has. Madolche Teacher Glace Souffle, basically here to just help out for the greatest offense is being a great defense. Then Meowcarons. So this requires 2 effect monsters plus a Madolche monster. When this card is link summoned, you can add a Madolche card from your deck to your hand and then target 1 monster in your grave to special summon 1 Madolche monster from your hand, and if you do, you shuffle the other target into your deck. You're locked into Madolche monsters effects for the rest of the turn. The summon of Madolche monsters for the rest of the turn, but that's perfectly fine because remember, your deck is still all Madolche, so you're not going to worry too much about that. Madolche fresh his start, more defense, more playing around with defending cards and being able to shuffle cards back into your deck to respect your cards, especially your spells and traps. Then for all the other one-as, we have Babushka in case you want to give a slow start. 0 just to pop on top of monsters, especially because they won't be considered because they're not number monsters. You can easily get into this and have some defense there. And then oh boy, this Double Azu Sky Thunder, just to play around with some more offensive abilities and removal if needed. Now, while the Madolche cards may not have the best of things, honestly, I still fucks with my Madolche because they are still amazing. They're still a good archetype and they still have a lot of promise to them. So, with that in turn, you guys, it's going to wrap up my Madolche deck profile. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it because it does take a lot of time to try to build out a lot of these decks and stuff, but hey, you guys are watching, you guys are enjoying, and that's all that matters. So thank you guys so much, and I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. Hit the notification bell to be informed of when I do upload more content to the channel. My social media links are in the description box below, and of course check out the playlist for other content and videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and your boy HVJ signing out. Take care.